Picture a world on the brink of catastrophe. The year is 1939 and tensions are high. This is the eve of World War II, a global conflict of unprecedented scale, reaching every corner of the globe. World War II was a clash of ideologies, a struggle for power, and a testament to the depths and heights of human potential. It was a time when nations rose and fell, when heroes and villains emerged from the shadows of uncertainty. The key players on this global stage were numerous, each with their own agendas and ambitions. The United States, Britain, Germany, Japan, the Soviet Union, and many others, their destinies entwined in a deadly dance of diplomacy, deceit, and destruction. The geopolitical landscape was a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. That spark would come in the form of Germany's invasion of Poland. As the storm of war gathered, a new kind of warfare emerged from Germany, a strategy of lightning war. Germany unveils its secret weapon, Blitzkrieg, a rapid, all-out attack that stuns its victims. As World War II begins, Germany's military strategy, dubbed Blitzkrieg or lightning war, takes center stage. Its premise is simple, yet devastating. Concentrate forces in a swift, powerful offensive to shock and disorient the enemy, preventing a coordinated defense. This strategy is first unleashed on Poland in September 1939. The Polish army, expecting a traditional war, is caught off guard by the sudden, fierce assault. Despite valiant resistance, Poland is overrun in less than a month, showcasing the effectiveness of Blitzkrieg. The early successes don't end there. By the summer of 1940, Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and even France have fallen under the German war machine. Each victory further solidifies the Blitzkrieg strategy, setting the stage for a war unlike any the world had ever seen. But as the war drags on, turning points begin to emerge. From the Battle of Britain to Operation Barbarossa, the tide of war begins to shift. The summer of 1940 saw a significant turning point in World War II. The Battle of Britain was a crucial moment, where the Royal Air Force defended the United Kingdom against the German Air Force's relentless bombings. This air campaign marked the first major defeat of Hitler's military forces, and it significantly weakened the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, the gears of war were grinding in a different direction. In June of 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in the history of warfare. This was a bold move, a direct violation of the non-aggression pact that Hitler had previously signed with Stalin. The German forces initially made significant gains, but the harsh Russian winter and the fierce Soviet resistance eventually turned the tide. This marked another significant turning point in the war. Hitler's failure to seize Moscow signaled the beginning of the end for the Third Reich. The German forces were now fighting a war on two fronts, a scenario that Hitler had desperately wanted to avoid. These events, the Battle of Britain and Operation Barbarossa, marked key moments in the trajectory of World War II. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, another conflict was brewing. Pearl Harbor, a day that will live in infamy. The Pacific War has begun. With these chilling words from President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the United States was propelled into the throes of the Second World War. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by the Empire of Japan on December 7, 1941, was a calculated move designed to disable the Pacific Fleet and buy Japan time to secure its empire in Southeast Asia. Yet, the attack had the opposite effect, serving instead to galvanize the American people and thrust the nation into the global conflict. The Pacific Theater, spanning vast oceans and numerous islands, would become a key battleground in the fight against Japanese aggression. In response to Pearl Harbor, the United States launched an innovative and daring strategy known as the Island Hopping Campaign. This involved bypassing heavily fortified Japanese positions and instead focusing on less well-defended islands that could be quickly captured and used as bases for further operations. Key battles, such as Midway and Guadalcanal, turned the tide of the war in the Pacific. These battles weakened the Japanese fleet and provided the Allies with strategic footholds from which they could launch their assaults. The Pacific Theater was a unique and brutal front, characterized by its naval battles, jungle warfare, and the sheer determination of the soldiers who fought there. The events that unfolded in this vast oceanic battlefield would forever shape the course of history. Back in Europe, the Allies were planning their own offensive. D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history, marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. On June 6, 1944, the Allies launched Operation Overlord, a daring assault on the heavily fortified beaches of Normandy, France. The planning was meticulous, the secrecy paramount. More than 150,000 soldiers from the United States, Britain, and Canada stormed the beaches under a hail of German gunfire. Paratroopers dropped behind enemy lines, sabotaging communication and creating chaos, while naval bombardments softened the German defenses. The landings were brutal, the losses heavy, but the Allied forces pushed forward, establishing a foothold on the continent. This success marked a turning point, opening up a second front in Europe and stretching German resources thin. It was a display of immense courage, determination, and cooperation among Allied nations. The tide of war was turning, and the liberation of Western Europe had begun. But as the Allies were making strides on the battlefield, a different kind of battle was being waged in the cities and towns across Europe. The German occupation was ruthless, and the Nazi regime's systematic persecution of Jews and other minorities intensified. From the beaches of Normandy to the streets of Paris, the war was far from over. The Allies had won a significant victory, but the road to Berlin was still long and fraught with danger. While battles raged, a dark shadow fell across Europe. In the shadow of war, humanity faced one of its darkest hours, the Holocaust. The Nazis, under Adolf Hitler's regime, orchestrated a systematic genocide that claimed the lives of 6 million Jewish people. This atrocity, unparalleled in its scope and brutality, left an indelible scar on human history. The marginalized were persecuted, the innocent were executed, and the world was forever altered by this horrifying chapter of World War II. Meanwhile, back home, civilians were not shielded from the war's impact. People from all walks of life were mobilized for the war effort. Factories were repurposed for war production, rationing was introduced, and everyone from school children to the elderly were enlisted in some way to support the cause. The home front was a reflection of the war itself, a struggle for survival, a test of resilience, and a testament to the human spirit. In the wake of devastation, a new world order was about to emerge. World War II ended, but its legacy was far from over. The aftermath of this global conflict was a world forever changed. The scars of war were etched not only on the cities and landscapes that bore the brunt of the bombings, but also on the hearts and minds of those who lived through it. The world had seen the worst of humanity and the best of humanity in the space of 6 tumultuous years. The establishment of the United Nations in the wake of the war was a pivotal moment in history. It represented a collective desire for peace and a commitment to prevent such a devastating conflict from repeating. It was the acknowledgement that international cooperation was not just desirable, but necessary. World War II reshaped the world's political landscape, triggered significant technological advancements, and left an indelible mark on the generations that followed. The echoes of World War II can still be heard today. World War II is a testament to the best and worst of humanity. From the brinkmanship that led to its outbreak, to the Blitzkrieg tactics, the turning points that shifted the balance, the Holocaust atrocities, and the resilience of the home front. The legacy of this monumental conflict continues to shape our world today. If you wish to delve deeper, I recommend exploring books, documentaries, and museums dedicated to the subject. What are your thoughts on World War II? Share in the comments, like the video, and subscribe for more historical content.